Hello and welcome to another episode of Chargers Talk 4630. I'm your host, Stacey Mallory, and unfortunately, my co-host Garrett Elsasser will not be with us today. As you guys know, he's in the military and currently on deployment. So he has a lot going on in terms of scheduling and moving back and forth to different locations. So that's his priority at this time, and we will welcome him back once things calm down on that end. Let us keep him in our prayers that the Creator surrounds him with his protection and he stays safe until he can join us back here. But Garrett did send us a video giving us his thoughts on one of the topics I'm covering today. So we will get started with that soon. But if this is your first time here, I welcome you and I ask that you follow this podcast by pressing on the subscribe button. It is free. This is not a paid subscription. This way you'll be notified whenever we go on live or release the latest content. You can also follow as well as listen to us while on the road, at work, or even on your lunch break on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music Podcasts, Pandora, Deezer, and TuneIn Radio. If you like to DM me or follow me on X, my handle is retired into6997, and also follow Garrett Elsasser at gman7887. And again, thank you for joining us here live on X and YouTube or whatever platform you listen to us on. Well, yesterday we had some breaking news. The Chargers have signed former Raiders tackle Alex Leatherwood, who was drafted with the 17th pick in the first round of the 2021 draft. Out of all the signings the Chargers have made this offseason, this is the first one that made me kind of pause. I rushed quick to study the highlights and see what's to like about Leatherwood. To be honest, he reminds me a lot of DJ Fluker, who was an absolute stud with Alabama and drafted by the Chargers in 2013. And it ended up being a big swing and a miss because speed rushers ran around Fluke as if his feet were stuck in cement. I know Leatherwood has played a lot of football with Alabama, but most scouts believed that Alex Leatherwood had the talent to play in the NFL, but saw him going as a late second or a high third round pick. He had some really good games with Alabama, but his stock started to drop after having a bad combine where he lost a lot of his one-on-one matchups and was not that impressive. That didn't stop the Raiders from drafting him 17th overall, though. And with all the studying I saw on film, it showed me he struggled bad at both tackle positions. But what I saw from watching him play as a guard was impressive. Remember when I said he reminded me of DJ Fluker? In Fluker's time in the NFL, he was lost at the tackle position. But when it came to running schemes, he was a man amongst boys. And I see the same skill set from Alex Leatherwood. Leatherwood is really good at run blocking schemes. At 6'6", 315 pounds, he's physical and tough with good effort in the run game. He finishes plays well. He has a nasty temperament. He has good agility, technique, and size as a guard. And I pulled up some film that I was studying of him in pass protection as well as run protection. Let's take a look. Here's Alex against the Baltimore Ravens. He's playing right tackle. Justin Houston ran past him off the edge with no resistance. One shoulder dip, and he was in the quarterback's lap. Now, here's the second sack he gave up in that game. His first step was a little better, but when he got pushed too deep into the backfield, he gave up on the play, and the edge rusher cut back on the inside to get the sack. And now he's lined up against Steelers' TJ Watt. And I can tell you, it wasn't a pretty sight. Again, one right shoulder dip, and the quarterback had no chance. Now he's going against the Chargers, matched up against Joey Bosa, who again exposed his flaw in pass protection. Joey rips with his hands, a slight right shoulder dip, and the quarterback is saying, "Mama, get this man off of me." Now, let's look at the same game against the Ravens where he gave up 2 sacks. This time, they put him at guard. Now he's playing like a full-grown man as he blows the left side of that Ravens defense out and clears the way for a huge hole up the middle for Josh Jacobs. Against the Dolphins, same thing. Moving men against their will, opening up another hole for the running back. Down on the goal line where it's tight, he gets to the second level and makes a key block. The running back gets stuffed at the 2, but Leatherwood did his job. Look at this pull play. He does just enough to get Jacobs through the hole. This wasn't much of an effort from the edge rusher, but Leatherwood did his part at keeping the rusher at bay. And the final piece I have on Alex is just like he blew the left side of the defense off the ball earlier, he did the same thing to the right side. So watching him play in pass protection as opposed to run blocking was like night and day. Good footage I was able to find that explained a little bit more about Alex Leatherwood's skill set. As far as I'm concerned, there's nothing to like as a tackle. Like as a guard, would it shock me if he beat out maybe Foster Sorrell? I don't know. I like Foster. I think with this coaching staff, he could develop into a decent player. I just think they were badly coached last year. Maybe Alex could be a good depth piece. But my final word on Alex is last year, he spent the entire 2023 season on the Cleveland Browns practice squad. Something to think about, right? But I've been constantly beating you guys down all off season about how you got to trust Harbaugh and Ortiz. So I'm not going to start backpedaling now. Harbaugh is either doing the same thing he's doing with every other player except the quarterback, and that's overcrowding every position to create competition. Or at worst, Alex could be just another camp body at the end of the day. We should keep our eyes on this because this will be interesting to see. Now, that brings me to this topic. I want to have a little personal discussion about this topic. I received my diploma as a journalist, and a journalist has many roles, and one of them is to record, verify, and report on information of importance to the public, and the second is research. The importance of research is to seek the truth and provide facts and offer fair and comprehensive account of those events or those issues. With me being a journalist, I take these roles seriously and want to always be honest with the viewers of this podcast. I discussed events that allegedly happened at the Chargers OTAs last week. I was listening to a podcast on YouTube hosted by Matt Money Smith and Chargers great Lorenzo Neal. Matt Money Smith, who happens to be the announcer for all Charger games, was at the OTAs and reporting events that took place while he was there. I mentioned in last week's podcast that Jim Harbaugh had the players practicing in full pads. I too was shocked to hear that myself because I thought the rules were changed years ago, that you couldn't wear pads, I believe, until maybe July sometime. Everyone knows I'm very engaged with the Charger fans in the comment section of this podcast. That comment about the players in pads started a respectable conversation in that chat room about whether that comment was accurate. And that's not a bad thing because I love engaging with Charger fans, especially those that support this podcast. And if I'm incorrect with any statement I make, I want to be challenged. That would make me better at what I do. I have friends that I've known and worked with for years, and they're not Charger fans. However, they still support my podcast. In fact, I had several of them to appear on the podcast throughout last season to talk about their own teams. They also gave me some pushback because, like me, they felt they knew the rules to be that you could not be practicing in pads and felt that I reported the wrong information. And I'm sitting back saying, wow, this is really a thing. Even though I know they love me and I love them and we hold each other accountable for what we say and what we do. We've always been that way and I appreciate them for it. But it still made me feel awkward because I'm commenting on something that I believe to be the truth based off of a reporter who was there. But my friends are saying, Stacey, that's not true. So now I actually had people debating whether my comment was true or not. I take the roles of a journalist serious, and I also want to be known as a man that is honest and trustworthy, especially when you have a platform that viewers come to for great content. So today I want to clear up any confusion that was caused by my statement that was made last week. So I pulled the clip so you can hear exactly what I heard and why I made the comment I did. Let's take a listen to Matt Money Smith and Lorenzo Neal.
How different this is going to look. And one of the big things that's different this year, Lo, as someone who's followed this team and been working with the team since they moved up here to Los Angeles, is I'm not used to seeing 11 on 11. I'm not used to seeing offensive linemen and defensive linemen engaged. And it does not look like it's just, hey, we're walking through this. No, these dudes are pushing and they're getting after it. And that is not something. And look, every coach wants to run their off-season program differently for whatever reason. Some guys don't like doing 11 on 11. They don't like full pads, but not Jim Harbaugh. These guys are in full pads and they are running 11 on 11. What kind of message does that send to the team of how this thing's going to go all season long?
Titty bumping and running around. No question. This is about right now setting the tone. This is how you play football. Football's a physical sport, right? Money. And you see so many guys, they're saying, okay, we're going live. We're going to go shells and we're just not going to go forwards, touch. And no, they want to see guys get their head in the right fit. They want to see guys go out and start moving people around. Harbaugh's trying to see who's going to play like I want you to play. Who's going to be Who's going to play the hardball way? In the hardball way, everyone says, oh, it's hardball. No, he's not inventing anything. Right, he's not. But he's the old school. It's, hey, we're going to come out here, be 11-on-11, use the OTAs. No, we're just going to go more 7-on-7. It's catching the ball and just being the finesse. Harbaugh said, no, we're going to go out here and create an attitude. We're going to create a bravado about ourselves. So when the season starts and training camp comes, you already know what to expect. It's about expectations right now. Harbaugh's setting expectations very high, understanding now that, hey, we're 3 months, we got June, July, August before guys put on pads in July, go to camp end of July. He's like, no, I want you guys to know what it's going to be like. I don't want training camps to come and all of a sudden guys are like, man, I didn't know, I wasn't expecting. No, you've been expecting this since OTAs, and that's what they're doing now, and I love it.
So I'm glad we got that out there. I definitely wanted to clear that up. It was definitely becoming a conversation in the chat room and a conversation with my personal friends that we all just generally thought you can't practice in pads at OTAs. But according to Matt Money Smith, who was there, he says that they were, and he had a lengthy conversation. And I wanted you guys to hear that so you would know that I just didn't pull that out of the air. I want to keep my integrity and my honesty with you guys intact. And that's the reason why I did that. So again, thank you for that. And I look forward to any time that I'm out of pocket or misquoting anything. If it's any statement I make that's inaccurate, I look forward to you challenging. Now, my co-host, Garrett Elsasser, who couldn't be here because he's in the military and on deployment at the time, and we send our prayers out to him that God keeps him safe until he comes back home to his family and come back to Chargers Talk 4630. But he did send me video of his thoughts on the state of the offensive line for the Chargers. So let's go to this videotape now. Here it is, Garrett Elsasser.
Hey there, Stacy. How's it going? I'm very busy right now, very busy. But I miss my Bolt fam. I miss y'all. I'll be back soon, I promise. Just making time for this took an act of God. In terms of the offensive line, I'm not content with it, but I do believe we're in a very good position to succeed. And Joe Ortiz standing by his word, saying that he's going to churn the bottom of the roster, and he's always looking for pieces to add. Alex Leatherwood getting signed yesterday is huge, because if it doesn't work, okay, so what? And if it does, then we have a very cheap, valuable piece, because this regime obviously values the O-line, right? So if he even plays guard like he did in Chicago, and does it well, he's a solid depth piece. And that's a cheap signing, and that's hard to come by, especially in this world with the offensive tackles getting paid top dollar. So I think that they know that the offensive line has room to improve, but I think as it stands, that I think it's going to be a very, very good unit going forward, because I don't know if the coaching last year and the years past has been up to par, and I think this is going to be a lot more friendly for them, especially with running. Any O-lineman you talk to them, linemen want to bulldoze people, and if they get to do that and they get in rhythm and they start being in sync, it's going to be scary. No matter who's running the rock, they're going to have yards to run, and it just gets me excited. So while I have my concerns, I'm optimistic. And I'm optimistic for the reason of our GM churning the bottom of the roster. I'm optimistic because our quality that we have in the starting line and our depth pieces that we're slowly adding. And turning this into next year as well, it's just gonna keep getting better and better, especially as they learn their scheme, get used to each other along the front, and without, life without Corey Lindsley. So I miss you all. Bolt up, Bolt fam. Can't wait to see y'all in the season. Meet y'all. It's gonna be fun. Bolt up, baby.
Garrett, let me just take a couple of seconds to say, I know you're going to be watching this podcast a little bit later on when you get a few minutes. I know you don't have much free time at all, but let me just tell you, your passion and your enthusiasm is missed here on Charters Talk 4630. Exciting things is happening and unexpected doors are being opened on our podcast. Thank you for your service and for the work that you do for this country. Thank you for keeping our country safe, and know that you are very much honored and very much appreciated for what you're doing. We all miss you here on Chargers Talk 4630, and I know you don't have a lot of free time as you serve this country, but we hope we can get you on here live next week to share some of our good news with some of our viewers. That was my man, Garrett Osasa. Guess what, Garrett? We miss you too, man, and we can't wait till you come back too. But in the meantime, your man going to hold things down until you get back. But that was a very interesting take that you had on Alex Leatherwood. High reward, low risk. I have a few concerns about how the offensive line is going to do, but if this is all going to work, let me tell you why I think it will. Joe Ortiz, I'm giving some flowers to him because I haven't given him enough. I talk about Jim Harbaugh a lot, but let me talk about Joe Ortiz for a minute. He spent his entire 26-year career in the National Football League employed by the Baltimore Ravens. I mean, you know, Ozzie Newsome and Eric DeCosta, two of the best to ever do it, and were great teachers for Joe Ortiz. Ozzie also tutored Joe Douglas, who's gotten his career off to a good start with the Jets. The Jets lost Aaron Rodgers last year after just 4 snaps, but still had a talented enough team with a good defense, and despite their disappointing season, they still finished 4th in defensive rankings. And they drafted a lot of good players on that defense, too. When guys come out of that Ozzie Newsome tree, they're just so well trained and know exactly what they're doing, especially when it comes to having a philosophy with regards to how you draft players. I remember in 1990, with the 5th pick of the then San Diego Chargers, they took the late, great Hall of Famer Junior Seau. Then in 2001, again with the 5th pick, they drafted another great Hall of Famer in LaDainian Tomlinson. So there's a thing when it comes to drafting great players when they have the 5th pick in the draft, right? This year, the now Los Angeles Chargers had the 5th pick once again, and they picked offensive tackle Joe Alt. Now, I don't know if he's going to be the next Hall of Famer, but what he's done in college and what he's put on paper sure looks like it could be heading in that direction again. The Chargers was 5-12 last year, and the 49ers was 6-10 when Harbaugh took over as head coach in 2011. Jim turned it around immediately with the 49ers going from 6-10 to 13-3. That's just what he does. He's got this ability to build toughness in his teams. They always say how you practice Monday through Saturday is how you'll play on Sundays. Everyone kept saying he's got to take a receiver. He's got to take a receiver, but he didn't cave into the pressure. He did what Harbaugh does. He did what Harbaugh knows. Look at your left and right tackles now. They could end up being the best in the league. I believe Greg Roman and Harbaugh are going to get this running game going, and Jesse Minter is going to have this defense playing good, fundamentally sound football. Under Brandon Staley, this team was too soft. They were a terrible tackling team with too many broken coverages, couldn't run the ball and couldn't stop the run. But the good thing is all of these things can be fixed through coaching. All the mental breakdowns in the secondary. I mean, you just pick out any game. It was extremely hard to watch. They will be better because you have a great coach who establishes an identity from the door. Harbaugh knows who he is. He knows what type of team he wants to be. And he knows how and what it takes to win in this league. Harbaugh teaches mental toughness, something this team has lacked under Staley. This coaching staff gets it. They just know what the hell they're doing. And it's so refreshing because too often guys didn't know what they were doing and where they were supposed to be. But Jesse Minter is making everybody go back to the basic fundamentals of stuffing the run, making it a priority to tackle better, communicate better, and just do your job. I don't know if Harbaugh is going to turn it around as fast as he's done it everywhere else, but I know it's going to be different. I know it's going to look different. The energy feels different around this team. This team was unable to close out games, couldn't get a first down, couldn't go get that game-winning drive when you absolutely had to have it. I believe that era is over. They will be better. The defense will be better. The run game will be better. Justin Herbert will be better because he has to be, especially at the end of games. When the opportunity comes, when he got a chance to go downfield on the final drive and put the game away, I believe he will do that more than not. I just think the way they're going to run it, it will protect Herbert and it will allow him to have his best season yet. And I'm not just talking about just stats because he's been there, done that already. You're going to see his improvement in the win-loss column. I believe you're going to see a toughness with this team that you're not used to seeing. Jim Harbaugh by midseason wants this team to be imposing their will on the opposition. I can't wait to watch the Chargers this year. I think we're going to have a growing and energized fan base, and I can't wait to see what it looks like. That's right. The Los Angeles Chargers, people, I think we're going to really be proud of what we see with this team. I just really believe that in my gut, because this team will be well coached, well prepared, very hungry, and ready to prove to the rest of the league that this Charger team will be a force to be reckoned with. Now, I'm going to finish my final thoughts on a couple of things I'm kind of concerned about a little bit. There are always at least two teams that make the playoffs that wasn't in contention last year. We know it's going to happen again this season, and the Chargers are one of those teams that did not make the playoffs. And I have every reason to believe we can make the postseason, but it doesn't mean I don't have a couple of concerns to go along with it. So to be fair and play devil's advocate, I'll give you my two concerns first, then I'll tell you why, if those two concerns don't come into play, how we can get in the postseason. Now, remember Justin Herbert suffering a finger injury late last season, and as a result, missed the last 4 games? Easton Stick took over the final 4 starts. He's been in the NFL, but hasn't shown much in his few opportunities. Now, I'm not concerned about Justin Herbert, but I'm concerned with the depth behind Justin Herbert. You have Easton Stick and Max Duggan, the former 7th-round pick out of TCU. Between the two of them, you talk about very limited experience. So depth behind Herbert did not improve. But my thinking is, in Herbert, they expect durability from a guy that's played every down. Herbert's been the starting quarterback for the Chargers since he got there. So I think Harbaugh and company is hoping with the new additions of Joe Alt at right tackle to go along with Rashawn Slater on the left and bringing in veteran Brad Bozeman to play center, and with better coaching, you should have a better offensive line. You'll be able to run, block, and pass protect better, and a much improved running game, which will protect Justin Herbert from the unnecessary hits he's taken the last couple of years. And you know, with Greg Roman and Jim Harbaugh, you know they're going to run the damn ball. Kellen Moore's offensive schemes, which he refused to adjust to anything the opposing team was doing, that constantly left the offense in live or die situations that saw them constantly in 2nd and long and 3rd and long. Brandon Staley and Kellen Moore's choices with regards to how they handled Justin Herbert made them a huge liability for this team. That also put the quarterback in harm's way too many times. But I'm sure Harbaugh had conversations with Ortiz and must have felt comfortable with Easton Stick as the backup if anything were to happen to Herbert. But let's hope that doesn't happen, because Easton Stick prior to last season had just 1 appearance in 2020 where he only threw 1 pass. Yes, 1 pass. So we didn't know much about him, but he ended up getting into 4 games late in the season, completing 64% of his passes, and he had 3 touchdown passes against 1 interception. So there's still just a small sample size. But with this new regime's philosophy, which I like, and one of the ways to keep your quarterback upright is that they beefed up the offensive line, which should help them run the football and be better schematically, which should also prevent Herbert from being in a position where he's always in long passing downs. Many times last season on an important drive, these guys were asked to convert 1 first down or to put the game away or don't turn it over or just don't go 3 and out. Too many times due to poor coaching and bad execution, they just couldn't get it done. A lot of the free agent pickups are really great value pieces, and Ortiz has done a fantastic job with these 1 and 2 year signings that are high reward and low risk. The second and final concern I have is that most of the signings come with injury concerns. That's why they came so cheap. So if they can manage to keep the core players healthy, especially J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards, and can effectively run the ball, stop the run, win the trenches on both sides of the ball, I have zero doubts with Jim Harbaugh's coaching savvy, this will definitely be a playoff team. That was fun. I hope you guys had a great time. I hope you enjoyed this segment and the content that I had. And that ends our segment today at Chargers Talk 4630. We thank you so much for joining us today. And if you like the content here and want to support our community, please don't forget to follow us by clicking on the subscribe button. And yes, it is not a paid subscription. It is free. You can also follow and listen to us wherever you get your podcasts. And also, don't forget, share this podcast with someone who may not have tuned into us yet. And as always, we appreciate you. We appreciate your support. Until then, be safe, be well, enjoy the rest of your day. Bolt up and boat ganger don't bang. See you all next week.